In today's episode, I want to make an argument or a case for why you should go all in on the thing that you've been thinking about going all in on. As someone who went all in on their thing about 5 years ago now, booking a plane ticket down to Colombia and just leaving everything behind to build my business, I know that the outcomes on the other side of that process are well worth it, and I want them for each and every listener. The structure of this episode is I'm going to be taking a look at all the different cognitive biases that sort of tend to affect people when they're in this position. And by clarifying those cognitive biases, hopefully by the end of it, you are convinced and motivated to take radical action to transform your life. The first reason people tend not to do the thing that they want to do is fear. When I booked my plane ticket down to Colombia to lower my cost of living massively so I could free up my runway to make sure that I could basically devote all of my focus onto my business, to me, the potential downside was, to be honest with you, psychologically, my potential downside was literally losing my life. When I booked this apartment in Colombia, it was in an extremely dangerous neighborhood because the rent was extremely cheap. You know, having never really traveled to that part of the earth, you're told all these stories and whatnot about the way that safety is there and these types of things. And so that can get into your head. Now, did any of that actually happen? No. I took precautions. I was completely safe. I would feel comfortable going back to that same location again today. And this is because we almost always overestimate how bad failing is actually going to be. Our brains are highly adaptive. Any sort of situation that is impermanent, your brain just gets used to, and you tend to live the same quality of life as someone who is in a subjectively higher quality of life. And I know that sounds weird, but trust me, I've been in places that are some of the nicest places that you could even imagine, living on villas on the beach, these types of things. And I've also lived in little homestays or in this specific apartment I was telling you about. It was, I think, $200 a month or something like this in the hood of Colombia. I would honestly say, looking back at it, genuinely, because it was just such a fun time for me as far as starting my business and really having to make things work and all this, I probably enjoyed my time in that little $200 a month apartment more than the villa. So your brain is lying to you about the downside about things. So don't take that fear literally. Obviously, be logical about it. There are situations you can get into that are permanent and you don't want to deal with those. But the vast majority of the time, what is actually failing when you start out? Oh, maybe you have to move back in with your parents. Like maybe the girl says no. You know, these types of things. They're not that bad, to be honest with you. They're not that bad. Don't allow that to castrate you from your dreams. So the second cognitive bias that I want to talk about is the fact that every day that you spend not actually doing the thing, you think it's a neutral position that you're in. But it's not a neutral position that you're in. And I can tell you that firsthand. You think it's neutral because you haven't experienced the other side of doing the thing that you want to do. When you do the thing that you want to do, when you embody the person that you authentically are, every day of that is worth thousands of days of not doing that. And the only thing that's preventing you from getting there is making that decision and sticking to it. Inaction is not neutral. It feels neutral in the moment because there's nothing dramatic happening in your life day to day. But as soon as you get on the other side of action, you will understand how non-neutral inaction is. What I tend to see people doing in general is they're motivated by the external so heavily. They want a certain income because it means that they'll have a certain car that they can drive, or they'll be with a certain girl, that they can love. They'll have certain clothes they can wear, all these types of things. All of these fucking external things is what motivates people. And trust me, as long as your motivation comes from the external, you come across like a needy person anytime you're around people. Because what that necessitates for you essentially is that you're sucking value away from the external. Oh, I want this girl. Oh, because she looks good with me, blah, blah, blah. And you're not giving. You're not a source. You're not a font of value. Contrast this with the person that finds value in the internal and builds that value internally. Self-trust, self-respect, all of these types of things. Now you become a source. You become a font for value. People want to surround themselves with you. Because why? Because you are a valuable person. And when you optimize for the wrong value, what happens is you're so focused on these outcomes that you cannot fully control. Now, if you find value internally, you did everything right. You lived authentically, ethically, logically, morally, all these things. You lived up to those standards that you've set for yourself. The moment that you make the bet, the moment you go all in, when you derive your sense of value internally, is the moment that you win. The next thing that I want to cover is I see all of these gurus and self-help people, it just all across the internet, in books as well, like everywhere. And they're all scamming you guys. Like they are pitching you guys that you can make a massive transformation in your life with relatively little input. And it's not true. It's absolutely not true. You want to completely radically shift your reality and your personality and your outcomes and your values and all these types of things. And what are you going to do it? Oh, I'm going to take a 20-minute run every day. That's not going to do anything. You know what I mean? That will do effectively nothing. Radical transformation takes radical transformation. And to get exceptional results, you have to be exceptional. And I know that can be uncomfortable for people. And that's one of the reasons that all these gurus, they give you the pill that goes down easily. You know what I mean? They give you the sugar pill because it's so easy to pimp that out, right? It's so easy to give people that. And people swallow it because it's so easy to swallow. I'm going to give you the pill that's like the motherfucker of a pill, you know? And that's basically that, yes, to build something seriously meaningful and to build a person who gets serious results and all these types of things, you probably have to radically shift the way that you exist. And I know personally, if I take myself from, 5-6 years ago or something like this, to compare myself to myself now, I dominate that person in every single way, in every single domain. And that's how you know you're making progress. But I don't even resemble that person. Not even a shadow of that person. That's sincerely what it takes. And, that can sound intense. But at the end of the day, you end up shifting into a better or subjectively better personality, reality, all these types of things. So I don't know why you're clinging on to the one that you currently have. Finally, people do this thing where they think about they war game going all in. They war game this thing. And they're like, oh, well, I could never do that because I'm not the type of person that could do XYZ or whatnot. I'm not the type of person that has that type of drive. I'm not the type of person, I'm not an intelligent type of person. But all these types of excuses that people make about this thing. You're using the wrong engine to run that simulation. You're using the engine that exists within you now. And you don't realize when you go all in, that liberates such a massive well of power within you that you have no idea how to tap into right now. The time in my life when I have given the most effort was when I was drowning. I was in a position where swimming meant life and not swimming meant death. And I swam until my heart started seizing up. Do you understand that that is a frame of reference that is accessible to you as well? Once you're in that position, you'll understand that. You'll understand how far, what is true failure. When you're in the gym, right, taking a muscle group to failure, I would encourage each and every listener, go in the gym today and hit the squat rack, put on, whatever, 80, 70% of your 1 rep max or something like this, and truly, truly take it to failure. And I don't just mean kind of failure, truly take it to failure. You will be shocked at how many squats you can do. At true failure, the point where you are puking on the floor, the point where your quads afterwards cramp with every step. That is the type of failure that I'm talking about. And that is the type of transformation that legitimate, serious transformation necessitates. It's none of this, oh yeah, I'm going to run for 15 minutes a day. It's none of this, well, maybe I'll just habit stack and do like 2 good habits or something. It's none of that. You know what I mean? It's a serious shift in the inner engineering. I want to close with this. People talk a lot about fearing the opponent that has nothing to lose, right? People be like, oh, this guy has nothing to lose. You can't, like, how do you go up against someone like that? I think the inversion of that is far more powerful. Fear the guy who has everything to lose. The guy who he doesn't have anything to go back to. He burnt the boats. This is everything to him. That guy I fear because I know that evolution has conspired the same as me for that guy to build him over millions and millions of years. The nice thing about having consciousness and having free will and all this is you can put yourself in that position. You can put yourself closer to being that guy.